Going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talker Sports with Jake. Hope I'm doing well. So the NFL schedule released last night. I'm not going to say too much about it yet. I'm going to go more in depth in the coming days and weeks. Certain games are being leaked. They've been, before schedule came out, certain games, were kind of squeaking out. We had another game squeaking out. Bears Titans in week one. Not nothing too special, but it's Caleb Williams and then one pick in this year's draft for a square game. But NFL schedule is out. So a lot of people have been talking about it. I'm going to go more in depth as the days and weeks go on, but the NFL schedule has come out. Astros pitcher Ronel Blanco got suspended for 10 games. The sticky stuff. It's at times to me it's a bit confusing because so it was always illegal, but the rules just weren't enforced. So if you're a pitcher, oh, well, if they're not gonna enforce the rule, I'm just gonna use the stuff. And from what I can understand, most of the hitters didn't really have a problem with it. Because I think they were like, well, they'd rather them have a better grip on the ball. So now they're not, losing control of the ball and hitting guys. I mean, you got guys throwing 90 miles an hour. That all hurts. So that's how guys get hurt. And then all of a sudden, 2 years ago, midseason, they changed the rules. Hoping after every inning, the guys, they check the guy's glove and everything and his hat. Obviously, a couple of guys have gotten caught. Yeah, the one guy in Seattle got caught. He said oh yeah, I had it all over my body. It was nothing that I thought was illegal. Obviously, Max Scherzer got caught last year with the Mets. There was somebody else who got caught. I can't remember now. Ronel Blanco, the reliever for the Astros, got caught. I'm still confused with what exactly it is. I know, Spire was a big one. A lot of these guys were using. Garrett Cole was using it. A lot of other guys were using it. Louis Giolito was using it. I'm not really sure still confused on what exactly it is that guys can't use. But rules are rules, and he broke them. So every single time, they get fined and they get taken suspension. Guys can appeal, but there's no way you don't really have a case. It's like the rule is you can't use these certain things. You get checked after each inning or whatever it is. You know the rules. The umpire followed the proper procedure and determined, oh yeah, this is you got too much of the substance. There's nothing that there's nothing that you can do. That's why guys never appeal. Yeah, but so today, before we get to the playoffs, which is obviously NBA NHL Playoffs, obviously the main thing that I've been talking about for a while now, I want to talk about about Turner Sports, also known as TNT. Of course, the NBA has a lot of games on that channel, just the NHL. But it appears Turner Sports is going to be losing the NBA very soon. So NBA's television rights deals are coming to an end. The contracts are coming to an end. After next season, NBA's contract with TNT is going to expire. Of course, they've had a relationship with TNT for a very long time. NBC and / Peacock just offered the NBA $2.5 billion a year for the NBA. From what I'm hearing, that TNT is not going to match because they would have to offer $2.7 billion to match. If they offer let's say they offer 2.6, if I'm NBC, they clearly really want the NBA. If they're offering $2.5 billion a year, an extra $1 million really isn't that much money, or an extra $1 million isn't that much money to them. I don't think TNT's going to match. That's a lot of money to shill out for one product, which is a phenomenal product and probably the main thing keeping them going. But still, one product, $2.7 billion is a lot of money. So you think, what does that mean? That means that the NBA is going to be mainly on Peacock now, opposed to, mainly it's on TNT. And they're still going to be on ESPN. I believe NBA and ESPN, they came to terms to keep the NBA finals on ABC in the future. So that's not going away. But the NBA and TNT, which has been in the way for a very long time, that's I don't think that's going to be happening very much because after next year, I think they're going to lose the NBA because it's going to NBC and Peacock. So NBC will probably have a lot of the games, like the primetime games, and there'll be a lot of games streamed on Peacock. I did my rant about that yesterday, why I don't think it's a problem, why games being on streaming services. I don't see the problem personally. And this is the way things are going. The NFL streamed the game on Peacock last year, a playoff game, a first round playoff game on Peacock last year. Thursday Night Football the last couple of years has gone exclusively to Amazon Prime. You look at, I talked about WWE when the Raws going to Netflix start of the new year. So I don't think it's an issue the way things are going. The main issue here is of course inside the NBA. 4 guys: Ernie Johnson, of course the host, then Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, and Kenny Smith. Those 4 guys have been together for a very long time now. It's a phenomenal show. It's one of the best, post game sports shows ever. Most pre and post game sports shows, you're not really that tuned into them. You just let them kind of have it on because all right, so the game's over. It's 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. They're just kind of you scroll on your phone, do other things while it's on in the background. That's one of the few pre and post game shows that everyone tunes into. And that's probably going to come to an end. You might think, well, why doesn't NBC just pick them up? First of all, when a completely new network comes in and brings in an organization like the NBA, they normally like to bring in their own guys. So I doubt they would bring in somebody who's been a staple of TNT for so long. Also, I don't know if they would do that. The 4 guys, you think, all right, first of all, Ernie Johnson only worked for TNT. He has worked for TNT for as long as he's been in this business. He's got like Chuck will go on our podcast and maybe he'll once in a while he'll go on the ESPN show, things like that. Obviously Shaq is because these guys are largely like fair. They were all-time great NBA players, especially Shaq. Shaq goes on podcasts all the time. He'll go do other stuff for Robert Networks once in a while. In the past, he would go on First Take a lot. Doesn't do it as much anymore, but he'll do that sometimes. He appears on virtually via satellite. He goes on Stephen A. show sometimes. Stephen A's own podcast. He does other stuff outside TNT. EJ has always worked for TNT. He does not do anything outside of TNT. The only other thing he's really ever done was he's done the playoffs for MLB. That's on TBS, which is of course a partner of TNT, of Turner Sports. So that's not a separate network. So I don't know why he would leave TNT. Also, and then with Chuck, first of all, Chuck has something in his contract that if Turner Sports ever lost the NBA, he could leave. So I think that's what he's going to do. I'd be shocked if ESPN did not hire him. ESPN, I'm sure, would love Charles Barkley. So I think they would hire him. And those 4 guys, then that leaves Shaq and Kenny Smith. If those 4 guys aren't all together, they're not going to want to do. They're not going to do with other people. Kenny Smith a few years ago was doing some head coach interviews. I could see him possibly trying to get into coaching. He obviously had a very successful NBA career as a player. He's done this show for a long time. She's tried to get into coaching, hasn't worked out so far. I'm sure part of it was the perfect opportunity. He didn't want to leave those 3 guys hanging. Maybe now that if the show breaks up and Chuck leaves the network and they lose the NBA, maybe he'll pursue that. I mean, none of them are that young. Like EJ is almost 70 years old. Kenny, I believe Kenny's in his 60s. Charles is in his 60s. Shaq's 52 or something. And Shaq is by far was loaded financially. He made a ton of money playing. He's one of the 10 greatest players ever. I mean, his first contract with the Lakers was worth like $110 million. He's made a lot of money with TNT. He's got his hands in so many other businesses. A very, very smart and successful businessman. He's had a lot of success, financially off the court. He's probably, honestly, one of the richest athletes in the world. Outside of, obviously LeBron's a billionaire now. Tiger Woods is obviously a billionaire. Alvin Michael Jordan's a billionaire. Besides those crazy rich guys, maybe some of these soccer players who are just getting these crazy contracts. He's right there, Shaq. He's made so much money. He made a lot of money playing. Like I said, his first big contract, his second contract he ever got was over $100 million from Los Angeles Lakers. But he's made millions and millions since since he retired from the NBA. He played a long time too. Because, that's why he's been in 8 teams. That's why he had a 30-year streak of at least one of his teammates was in the finals. He played in so many teams. He played on the Cavs when LeBron was just starting out. He was ancient. He was on some of those Celtics teams that were just he had a lot of really good young players, a lot of really good players in there for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and all those guys. He was just, he had nothing left, but he was on the team as just a bench player at the end of his career. Just there collecting the paycheck. We'll see if maybe he can grab another ring or something like that. So I doubt NBC would bring them in. If anything, like Amazon would bring them in because Amazon doesn't have like any other basketball people. So like they're all right. If they obviously Amazon's known for one the online shopping that's obviously exploded over the last decade or so, and obviously they now have Thursday Night Football. They've had that the last 2 years without Michaels and Kirkpatrick calling those games every Thursday night in the NFL season. Maybe now they can venture into basketball, and they can grab if they grab the inside the NBA. That would be a big win for them. They don't have any NBA people. Also, they have the most money of any of these companies. They're owned by Jeff Bezos. If not mistaken, I think he's the second richest dude in the world. They have a lot of money. The reason they're paying billions and billions and billions of dollars every year for the NFL Thursday Night Football. I mean, the guy owns so much money they bring in from from Amazon itself. Yeah, everyone's going to Amazon Prime subscription. If you need to watch the Thursday Night Football, there's a bunch of TV shows and movies on there. Everyone's got one. Whatever it is, $8 a month, $10 a month, whatever it is, it's more than worth it for Amazon Prime. I mean, they would pick them up because they can. They have the most money. They don't have any NBA people, so it would work. But also, like a lot of the reason why this show is so good is because of the way it's produced and the way it's directed. So, that show is just perfection. So if you bring in the 4 guys, but you don't take their crew with them, all the behind the scenes guys with them, the show's not going to be as good. And when you mess with perfection, a lot of times it doesn't work out. So that's not a great idea, to be honest. So my guess, most likely, I don't see Ernie leaving from their network. Chuck's gonna go work for ESPN or someone like that, or just retire. Shaq and Cameron do whatever the hell they freaking want. Or Amazon will pick them up. The show won't be as good, and it'll kind of it'll fall off, it'll lose its touch, and within 5 years, the show will be gone. But it's a shame, but that's why I think it's going to happen. In fact, I think the deal's pretty much being filed with NBC and Peacock. I don't think Turner's going to match. In fact, it may have already been finalized. I think as soon as the playoffs over, the NBA is going to make an announcement. I think they probably could make one now, but they don't want that headline to overshadow the rest of the NBA playoffs. NBA is a business after all, so they are gonna just kind of keep it under wraps. But I'm almost positive the deal's basically done, and they'll make an announcement once the playoffs is over that NBC and Peacock has purchased the NBA, and from next season they will have the rights to the NBA, and Turner Sports will not. And the only other guy they will kind of leave hanging is Kevin Harlan. Somebody will hire him, okay? If Turner loses the NBA, he wants to leave Turner, somebody will hire that man. Okay, he's one of the best broadcasters out there. He does NBA games, he does NFL games. He's the best. The guy was calling 2 games at once for that 1 year. That was so funny. That was a very funny moment for him. Somebody will hire him. There's no shot that guy will not have it up for more than like 6 minutes. The guy's phenomenal. ESPN, NBC, somebody will hire him. Also, on another TNT, the coverage is not that good. Tim Harlan's great, but Reggie Miller is not that good. He's biased to the Pacers. He hates the Knicks. He doesn't bring much to me. Jamal Crawford, I rarely ever hear him talk. And then who's the other crew? It's Brian, whatever his name is. He's okay, but Stan Van Gundy, he's so freaking annoying. He knows basketball, but he just talks too much. He thinks he's the play-by-play guy. He's not. So it's just not worth it when you really only have, outside the inside of the NBA show, you already have one guy, broadcaster guy, that's truly worth what he's paying and is truly, excelling at his job, to be honest. But I was going on with the NBA and Turner Sports and all that. Then let's close out with NHL the NBA playoffs. The NHL playoffs, the Colorado Avalanche defeated the Dallas Stars last night 5-3. So they keep the series going. They survive Narrate. They forced game 6. Dallas now only 3-2. That was a big back and forth game. Colorado went up 4-2 one point. Dallas scored to make it 4-3, but then with about 3 minutes left, Colorado scored a goal to make it 5-3. So they survived for another day. And then in the NBA, we had a pair of games last night. Celtics finished up the Cavs 113-98. As were, of course, very short-handed for the second straight game. Did not have their star player Donovan Mitchell because of a calf injury. Jarrett Allen's been out most of the playoffs. You didn't have him. I don't think you had somebody else was out too. he didn't have, so they were very short-handed last night. And it showed they lost, big game from Evan Mobley having 33 and 7, but Tatum at 25, 10, 9, and it was just too much to handle for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Boston wins in 5. They've won both series in 5 games, but of course, to beat Miami down Jimmy Butler. Now you beat Cleveland. They advance to Eastern Conference Finals, and they're staring a really easy finals berth right in the face. You got Miami without Jimmy Butler for the whole series. Then got Cleveland, who didn't have Donovan Mitchell for didn't have Jared Allen the whole series, and then Donovan Mitchell the last 2 games. A team that even fully healthy probably would have pushed for a 6th game anyway. Now you're probably going to get them, hoping as a Knicks fan, the Knicks who are really short-handed, have a lot of injuries. So they're looking at a really easy finals berth. The shame is a Knicks fan because they've looked pretty beatable. Tatum, I don't think has been phenomenal. And Brown's overall been good. They haven't looked like this unstoppable force. Like, I would not be surprised if they played Denver. I think Denver's won that series in 6 games. I just think they're still going to be overmatched. So Celtics over the Cavs, 113-98. They move on. Mavericks beat the Thunder, 104-92. As they take a 3-2 series lead. Luka at 31, 10, and 11. Shy at 36 and 8 in the game. Thunder needs a little bit of help. Chet did not play well last night at all. Dallas had a lot of guys step up. Yeah, he had a big game from PJ Washington. Kyrie was helping out, but Shy did not get that same help. Not a great game from Chet Holmgren. And Dallas takes a 3-2 series lead. Some news with the Cavs before we close out. JB Bickerstaff, their head coach, is apparently in danger of losing his job. Apparently, he might get fired. And this, I don't understand why coaches are always, getting the finger pointed at them. There have been some guys who deserve to get fired. I think the Doc Rivers just continues to fail in the playoffs over and over again. I don't mind him. I don't mind him getting fired much of where he's gone. So my real question is why he keeps getting hired and again and again and again. You could say maybe Monty Williams, wasn't all on Kevin Durant mostly, but you see what he's done, the horrible job he's done in Detroit, though my team is very bad. Like, some of these guys are losing their job. Mike Brewer went to championship, and 2 years later, he's out of a job. In that first round series, yes, I should have won, but Giannis missed 2 games. You see Frank Vogel with the Lakers, with that horrible roster. They fire him, and same thing with the Phoenix Suns this year with Frank Vogel. I don't get it. I know people don't like Darvin Ham, but like that roster isn't that good, and he doesn't get out of the first round, and you fire him. A year after taking a 7 seed, a ton of injuries and a ton of player movement throughout the whole year to the conference finals. Like, just come on. What are we doing here? Look, I understand why you wanted to move on from Bickerstaff after last year. You thought, he shouldn't have ran at both Allen and Mobley in the starting lineup. And, he got out coached by Tom Thibodeau. You should have won the series and you lost in 5. I still have Brunson. No one else won the next played well. You still lost in 5. Kind of get that. But still, like, that was a young team. That was clearly, a piece away. They're still a piece away this year. This team was never getting out of the second round. They had injuries all year. They don't have enough offense to me. They're still a piece away. You got past the Magic in the first round, and then in the second round, you lost. You ran to a better basketball team in the Boston Celtics. Donovan Mitchell didn't play in 2 of the game. Evan, not moment. Jared Allen didn't play all series. He had injuries the whole series, and you lost to a Celtics team in 5 that healthy you would have lost probably in 6. But come on, like, they barely got past the Magic. Magic have a young star making Paulo Banchero, and a bunch of inexperienced guys who aren't all that great yet. So, he did what he could. This team was never going to get out of the second round. They made progress last year. You think they were banned for a while until LeBron left 2 years ago, lost in the play-in. Last year, they lost in the first round. This year, got to the second round. They're making progress. Is it baby steps? Yeah, but remember, it's a team that was in a giant rebuild only like 3 or 4 years ago. And now, you've accumulated all this young talent with Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Darius Garland. You make the move to get Donovan Mitchell. You're getting better every year under him. Also, like, it's not his fault. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, like, he had 3 or 4 good games this whole playoffs. I mean, last year, the first 2 games against the Knicks, he was great. He was phenomenal. Game 1, he had like 35 or 36 or something like that, and they lost. Game 2, he had another big game. He had 37, 38, or like 40 or something like that, and they won. Game 35 was horrible. He was abysmally bad. And then this year, yes, Game 6 he had 50 against Orlando. Game 7, I think he had 38. In Game 1, he had 33 and 3/4. I think he had 32 in Game 2 in this game of the series. But the first 5 games against Orlando, he was very inconsistent. This guy's supposed to be a star and the number 1 option on this team. And then, Game 3, he was just fine. Or he had like 28 or something. Game 4, 5, he didn't play. Like the same thing from every year. Overall, he's been really good in the playoffs. Overall, in Utah, outside of Rudy Gobert, to me, is overrated. You had Mike Conley, you had Bogdanovich, and that's really about it. Cleveland, Garland's a very good player, but he has not been good in the playoffs either. He was horrible in that Knicks series last year, and he was not good in this playoffs either. He had 1 or 2 very good games. I think he had 33 or something, 30 plus in Game 4 of his series against Boston. Other than that, he didn't really produce a whole lot. Jared Allen didn't play pretty much the whole postseason. Mobley had 33 in Game 5 against Boston. Other than that, didn't do a whole lot. So it's not all on him, but also in Utah. Outside of that, he was phenomenal in that series in the bubble. He was a dog in that series in that first round against Denver. But also, first of all, that little 4-run lead. Outside of that, his playoff score has been, in Utah, like one game he go out and give you 35, next game he give you 12. Then he goes to Cleveland. The first 2 games he was giving you 35 plus. He get the split, in the first 2 games, and then he disappeared the rest of the series. This year he was, okay the first 5 games. Cleveland should probably be beating them in 6. Goes to Game 7, but then he gives you 50 in Game 6, but you lose. All right, you think enough help. Give you 38 in Game 7, gets it done. Game 1 gives you 33, and didn't even play the fourth quarter because the game was a blowout. In Game 2, he can give you 32 or something like that. You grab the game, all of a sudden you get a split in Boston. It's like, all right, hold on a minute. Game 3, you were fine, but then you don't play Game 4, Game 5 because you got a calf injury. Big deal. Really? Come on. Give me a break. So, to me, it's been his playoff career. He's not bad. He's not to call him bad. He's not like James Harden or Russell Westbrook or Paul George to an extent. He's not like that bad. Joel Embiid bad. But for a guy who's supposed to be a superstar, apparently he's not. But apparently he's supposed to be. I'm sorry, he's not. He's not number 1 on team to me. He needs a buddy. He needs to be better. He needs to be better. It's as simple as that. You can't be given. You can't have 35 one game and 12 the next game. You got to continually be consistent. You got to be continually leading your team. Like, come on. Like, we do this every year with this guy. Like, how much longer are we gonna do this? And now we got stuff coming out saying Bickerstaff's gonna get fired. Apparently, Donovan Mitchell didn't like the Mitchell weren't very wasn't willing to listen. He thought they were immature, and he wished they had developed the young players would develop a little faster, and they weren't as focused. Everybody team was frustrated that Jared Allen didn't want to take core zone shot and play through the rib injury. He was just kind of set out when I thought he could have came back. All sorts of crap is going on in the organization. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year, Donovan Mitchell, honestly. There's been reports he's been frustrated the whole year. There's a reason. I think there's a reason he hasn't signed an extension yet. He's got another year on his deal next year. He's a free agent. They've won 1 playoff series in 2 years with him. He's supposed to be probably almost big missing piece for them, and they've won 1 playoff series. 1 against a very inexperienced and inferior Orlando Magic team. The team that probably should have won in 6. They won in 7. You got skanked by the Knicks in the first round last year, and you got slammed by the Celtics, which makes more sense because Celtics are definitely a better basketball team. Then with 7, I picked Boston in 5 at the big top of the series. If healthy, I think Cleveland could have pushed to 6, but obviously you'll be losing 5. But a lot of drama going on. It's hard to see him being in a Cavs uniform. I think there's going to be a lot of trades in the offseason because of the new CBA rules. So a lot of teams can't make a lot of home moves with free agency. This draft is horrible, so you see a lot of lottery teams might look to trade their picks. And just, because of the CBA rules, teams might want to try and move some salary to get a little bit, to get get away from that second apron. I think, there'll be a lot of competitors looking at it. I don't think the Knicks will look at them. That's not the direction they should be going anyway, to me. The Lakers will look at them, because as long as LeBron's there, they'll look at every single star player that ever hits the market. Miami will look at him. They were in on him a couple of years ago. They'll be in on him again. They're in on every star that hits the market. They don't get any of them, but they'll be in on them. This time, they might be able to get them. I don't know who they're giving up, but it's possible. And there we are. Teams looking at him. I'm sure Dallas will throw their name in the hat. The Clippers will randomly throw their name in the hats. Other teams will do it. I'm hearing Brooklyn is very interested. I don't know who the hell you'd want on that roster if you're Cleveland, besides Mikal Bridges. I'm not sure if Brooklyn's going to want to give up. I mean, I'm going to put it different in terms of like 4 first-round picks for him. I don't think they're going to trade for Donovan Mitchell, to be honest. So, that's the story with Cleveland Cavaliers. My recommendation, don't fire J.D. Vickerson. It's not his fault that Donovan Mitchell and Jarrett Allen were hurt in the playoffs, and the whole team was hurt throughout the postseason, and they still got the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. But that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.